Okay, good morning. Thank you very much. And we are, Zoom again is not working, but we are going to start Samach Gimel Amud Aleph. Samach Gimel Amud Aleph. Mesnisin Kavoste, yeah, the Tani Rabbi Yoshe, Maseches B'Mitzvah Daf Samach Gimel Amud Aleph, and of course, good morning to everybody here in Avos Shalom. Good morning to everybody who watches us or listens to us in Torah Anytime and YouTube. The Tani Rabbi Yoshia. Rabbi Yoshia says, I'm just diving straight in, okay? And no. I can never dive straight in. No. Two things I want to tell you. I want to tell you two things before we continue. We're in the middle of the sugya. Looks like people are holding nicely in the sugya, but still I want to tell you two things. Everybody should know that in order to understand the sugya better later, and we're going to start soon, Samach Gimel Amud Aleph, we have to know two things. Number one, ribbis, as we all know, midoraisa, is b'halvo, right? When you lend. When you sell, there's no ribbis midoraisa. When Rabbanan goes there, that's a very, very basic thing, but when you have it in your mind, you're gonna glide through easily. Rabbanan goes there on a mechira, on a sale that's similar to ribbis. And we're going to explain what that means. Only when it's similar to ribbis. The more similar the mechira to ribbis, we're going to see machlokes, opinions, the more it is usher, the more it's different to halva, to a loan, then the sale is okay. Idea number two, and this is a general idea. Let me ask you a question. A question, would you say a very severe thing, very machmir thing, this is very common today. Let's say you order something online, and it arrives in your house 2 weeks later. Okay, or in the post office, whatever, 2 weeks later, a bit slow, but later. And it's a Jewish company. When you ordered it, and you paid for the credit card, and all the boxes were ticked, and it's all good, it was worth 100 shekels. By the time it arrives in your house, it's 110 shekels. Is that a problem? No. Because no, it's Jewish from Jewish. No, nothing to do with that. The reason is mapitom. It's completely mine. The fact that it's now in the machsan of KSP, in the wherever, in the storage room of whichever company, doesn't make a difference. It's completely mine. A credit card nowadays is considered a kinyan. That's halacha, by the way. And since it was a kinyan, the fact that it's geographically now in Rishon LeZion or Lod, not in Bet Shemesh, doesn't make a difference. The raise in price happened under my domain, under my ownership. And that is not ribbis whatsoever, even in the biggest chumrah. Otherwise, you couldn't do business today. When did we say it's a problem when you play around with amounts? That is, if you buy something in the store and the store doesn't have it and nobody has it, that means there is no real kinyan whatsoever. There's no kinyan. You gave them money or whatever. Let's say even there was something close to a kinyan, but lemaisa there was no kinyan and the item was nowhere to be seen, or maybe somewhere to be seen but not really available. That's like halva. Why? I gave money in return of a promise. That's why it's called amono. Later on, we'll see that this kinyan is called amono, trust. You trust the guy, maybe you have adim and signatures and lawyers, I don't know. But conceptually, I give money now, pay now, get later. How many times were we cheated, when you pay now and later people don't provide the services? Never in this country, but maybe in other places. Right? In other words, when you give the money and right now there's nothing real in your hands, and now you gave how much? You gave, let's say, the 100 or the 25, like in the Gemara, and you know that when he will provide it to you, a whole new thing is going to start. That's like halva. Yeah, you paid what? You paid now 100, and now he owes you 100 not 100 shekels worth. He owes you that amount. I buy how much? I say, give me 100 kilos of wheat for 1,000 shekels, let's say, okay, he owes me 100 kilos of wheat, whatever the price is. Later on, it's 1,200, that's ribbis. Why? Because at the time of the sale, right, there was nothing there. Therefore, it's like I'm throwing it into thin air, into black hole, and it comes back from the black hole, which is, by the way, like halva. That's an idea which came up with yesterday. I don't know if the Rishonim say it. Halva, by the way, as we all know, milva lo itzo nitno. What's halva? When you give your friend $1,000 loan, it's not the same $1,000 you're getting back. You're giving it to him and it's done deal. It's his, right? He's going to spend it. That's what he borrowed it from. And then the $1,000 he'll give you later is the new $1,000. Not only a different George Washington. He means to say it's conceptually different. So when the mechir was, I'm throwing the money into thin air, and whoop, 2 months later, I come what? With the product coming to my house being more expensive, and that was decided upon originally that it may be more expensive. That is a kinyan which is similar to halva, and that's bad news, and Rabbanon forbade it. I just really summarized the whole thing in a nutshell for you, and everything else was proud out of that. Okay, that's begadol. Of course, our questions, comments. I recommend we start. I'll be open to questions. Opa, we're starting with questions. Okay. The Tana Rabbi Yoshia. Rabbi is now explaining our Mishnah according to Rabbi Yoshia. I'm not going to repeat the Mishnah because the Brisa and the Mishnah are so deliciously similar that it's just going to flow very nicely. Hooray, story time. Somebody owes, not owes, Noshe doesn't mean owes. Somebody charges, it's the opposite of owes. Somebody charges, somebody wants to take from his friend the 100 that he owes him. Okay, let's say Reuven is a Malvish, Shimon is a Loive. Reuven comes to Shimon and he says, payday, payday. He went to Shimon's granary where there's a lot of wheat over there. The Omar, he told him, Tenli ma'oisai, money back, please. You owe me money. Is he coming with cash? No, he's coming with credit. You owe me money, and that's up in the air. Forget about yes or no star. It's not even relevant. Let's just not talk about vouchers, okay? There is money owed, and nobody denies it, and everybody knows it. You know, he comes with 2 edim. There's just money owed, but it's not real cash. You know, I want my money back. Let me share with you. I want to buy wheat with this money. That did not start off as a purchase. It started off as a debt, credit. Now, what you owe me, I want my money back. I deserve. You know why I want it? Because I want to buy with that chitim, great chitim worth of 100, whatever. The Omer loy. So now the loy Shimon says, chitim yeshli shani noisen lecha. Come on, mister. Let's cut corners. I have chitim, and I'll give you chitim. Yeah, I can give you chitim. Yeah, however, you're not going to take like a ton of chitim now, right? You know what we're going to do? Says the love. The love, he's wearing 2 hats now. He's a love and a mocher. He's a love and a seller, right? Say, go out. The son alike shel achshov. Now let's freeze it in time. Now the wheat in the cheaper time. Now this is the time, by the way, of Yotza Hashar. I didn't stress it enough yesterday. There are 3 times in the halachic spectrum. There's a time before most people sell it. You know, sometimes there's like a new book you only have in one store, you know, that just came out, or a new type of chocolate, you know, it's a new product that not everybody has yet. That's not Yotza Ashar. Then he cannot do this kind of business. Here we're talking about Yotza Ashar. It's already in the market, right? But it's still cheap. It just came out, it's still cheap. So now it's $100, let's say. The chitim, let's say, owes him $100. I'll give you chitim, credit of chitim for $100. You're not going to take all the chitim for, let's say, $1,000. You're not going to take all the chitim for $1,000 now. What are you going to do with all that? Now let's decide that you have the rights to take from me chitim throughout the year worth $1,000, even if they will be more expensive, 1,200. That's all Lord. We still freeze it in this current price. Okay. So far that is what is it okay? Why is it okay? Only because he has wheat. Because he has wheat. That's why we say the kinyan already mishapora, the specific wheat over there that he has, and that's why it's half kinyan already. It's not completely up in the air, throwing to the black hole and getting back from the black hole. There's something real. The chitim are really there, and therefore, even though it's credit, it's still okay to freeze those chitim. Not even those. He has some chitim. I could buy it now. It's still already a done deal. By the way, whenever I'm going to use the word done deal, that is to say that it's not similar to halva, it's more similar to kinyan, and kinyan is okay. So far, so good. What happened later? Meaning the 3rd time in the spectrum. Now it's really, high season. Now it's really, prime time. And a lot of people now sell the chitim and they're more expensive. And now, very good. Omer loy, says who? Says Mr. Reuven, who is the malve / buyer, right? He said, I want my chitim now. Remember your promise? You're a trustworthy guy. You said you're going to give me what? The chitim for $1,000. Even now they're worth 1,200. Give me the chitim, not because, like we thought yesterday, not because I'm asking for more money, because we froze the amount. It's 1,000 kilos, let's say, yeah? 1,000 kilos I'm owed, whether it's 1,000, 1,200. And that would be okay. But when I buy these chitim, I want to sell them. I'm a businessman. I'm not on some kind of wheat diet. I'm velikach ben yain. I now want to buy wine with them. Now the wine is still cheap. This is like a letter. The chitim right now are expensive. Prime time, it's not 1,000, it's 1,200. But now I don't want to eat them. I want to buy with them wine, which is now relatively still cheap, but yotzashal. Omar Loy, so he told him, Shimon, again, it's the same thing again and again. He told him, you want to buy wine? Why? What do you need chitim to buy wine? Look, I'll convert it myself. We are one-stop-shop.com. Yesh li'ain, I have wine, says who? Mr. Wheat owner, wine owner, Mr. Shimon, and he's okay. It's not like everything is yosher here. I'll give you now wine for how much? Wine for 1,200, because they converted now the chitim into money. That's a chiddush of credit money. 1,200. Now the wine is worth 1,200. But they know very well that soon the wine will be at its peak 1,400. Let's freeze it now. I now owe you 1,200. Let's decide I owe you chitim worth of 1,200, convert it into wine. Now it's kili have a voucher. I'm getting wine from Shimon's shop for 1,200. Now the wine became more expensive, 1,400, and then we're slowly escalating. The Omer Loi came Reuven to Shimon. Reuven, the Malva originally, the buyer says, Tenli, give me my wine. I want to sell the wine, I want to buy oil with that. The oil now is, how much are we holding? What's the number we said? 1,400 already. I want to buy now oil for 1,400. Omer Loi, hey, come on, man, let's cut corners. I have oil for 1,400, top quality from the Galil. Go out, let's convert the 1,400 wine into a different voucher of 1,400 watt oil, knowing full well that very soon the next season the oil will be 1,600, and you'll still maintain the 1,400. So that chad gadya can go forever and ever. We can talk about all the products in the world. What's the deal? Kulam, all the above. It can go on and on. Im yeshloi muta. This should be underlined. Im yeshloi muta. If the person the Shimon, the one who has the borrower who has wine and wheat and all these nice things that he has, if he has them in stock when the credit guy came, then it's okay. Yeah. Why? Because even though it's only credit and not cash, which I'm not so hot about, Lemaisa, it's okay. As opposed to the previous opinion that we saw before, that's okay. Why? Because if I have credit by you and you have the wine right there and then, it's considered that it's not completely done deal, but Lemaisa, it's already caught by me enough because of Misha Pora. You mechuyev to really give me this wine, right? Whatever that is, that's already considered as if I bought the wine. And the fact the wine will be $200 later, it's as if it just didn't yet arrive by AliExpress. It's as if the yogurt became more expensive in my own fridge. A new chumrah. I bought a yogurt, a few days ago, 2 shekels. Now it's 2.5. Can't eat it? Of course not. Became expensive by me. That's not a problem. That's what we're saying over here. However, ein loy osu. But if he doesn't have the product in stock and only other people have it, right? In other words, even though it's Yotza Ashar, he doesn't have the, let's say, wheat, the first chapter of the story. He doesn't have wheat, but the neighbor, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, that doesn't help. Why? Had you had cash, that would be good. Because with cash, you can buy instead of by me, I'm the buyer, I'm the seller. I don't have it. Reuven, Shimon have it. Cash is very easily distributed by other people. I can go there, you can go there. But if all you have is credit by Mr. Wheat owner Loive, and he doesn't have it and other people have it, then we're back to going to Osher Ad with Rami Levy vouchers. That wasn't Zoom, it was me. Yeah, that doesn't work. In other words, I made a small chart, which is very easy and very nice. I may draw it on the wall now. In other words, if both factors are missing, if the Malva / buyer only has credit, and the seller doesn't have the product in his hands, that's Luftgeschäft. Nobody has anything real here. That's Alvo. I'm throwing money into there and eventually you'll give it to me because I trust you. That is more like Alvo. Now, we skip the words my lokach balvosa because Rashi says you erase them. It's a long Rashi, which I don't think we should go into. We're better focused on what we have. And before I go, okay, I will now draw the little chart, very small, nice chart on the whiteboard. Okay, so we're going to have a small break. Now, Omarove, Shma Mino Medor Beishia. From Rabbi Yoshia, we learn Tlas Shma Mino. We learn from Rabbi Yoshia three things. Three things we learn from Rabbi Yoshia. First, the Mamidin Milve, not Malve, by the way. The Mamidin Milve al Gabe Peros. Milve, if somebody owes money and it's only credit and not cash, then you can actually play the game and buy now and get it later for more expensive, and it's not a problem. And we don't say we don't say that it's considered like he doesn't have cash and it's a problem. Meaning, in our chart, we have here, I don't know how clear the chart is in the thing. If he has credit, but the seller has a product, it's okay. That was our brisa. Yeah. Although all he has is only credit and no cash, but as long as the guy has it in his store, the Baal Choiv, the Loiv has it in his store, then it's considered as okay. It's going to the voucher with the store. It's already almost mine. It's mine enough to say that it's more like a mecher and not like a alvo. That's the point. The shma mina hu I already said it. The other thing is only if he has it, which means if the person doesn't have it, that's a big red X. That's bad news. Yeah. If he doesn't have the thing in stock, and the other guy doesn't have cash, only credit, bad news. It's too open. Then nothing really happened. By the way, there was another opinion we saw yesterday. Another opinion was that if he has only credit, then it's always bad. This is really a topic of machlokas. We're saying like la halacha, there is an opinion that says that it's not good. There was an opinion that said, and now you'll understand why, whenever the guy has credit of chov, that smells like milveh. It's more similar to milveh, right? You're not coming with real cash. You're coming with you owe me. You owe me, and then I'll get more schmecks of ribbis, according to that opinion. According to our opinion, no. Because it's true that I'm owed, but so what? It's a done deal. He has it in his own store. It's just a matter of time until he gets it to me. Then it's really okay. It's kilo, the deal is done. That's how we view it in our price, and that's our loch as far as I know. That's what the Gemara seems to be flowing with. Give me a second. There, 1 second. The shmami no, another shmami no, isaladobianai. A third thing we see from the brisa is that we agree the brisa seems to be supporting the opinion of Rabbi Yanai. Which Rabbi Yanai? What Rabbi Yanai? The Omar Rabbi Yanai, malihen malid mehen, which means malihen malid mehen means that up until now, what did we say? I came with money to the store. Let's say I come with money or credit to the store. What I want wheat. Okay. If I get the wheat, even though the wheat is more expensive, we said it's fine. That's all I did, right? If I came with cash, even if I came with credit, but he has the wheat, right? I'm owed 100 kilos of wheat, even though later it'll be more expensive, then it's okay. Right? That's what we said. Here in the Brisa, we see that we play around with what? With correctly what you said, that this is basically wheat, which turns shemen, yain, stories. In other words, I'm not getting the same product that I originally bought. At the end of the story, at the end of this chat gadia, he'll get oil, right? Or even worse, he may be getting cash. Now comes the machloikis. Let me tell you the following story. What happens if I enter a store with cash and I want 100 kilos of wheat, okay, worth how much? I don't know, 10,000 of shekels, 1,000 shekels, 1,000 shekels, let's say. And then when I come back 2 months later, it says, I'm so sorry, I don't have the wheat now. So I say, okay, I need something. So it says, you know what, I'll refund you and I'll give you, instead of the wheat, which is okay to give me wheat for more money. Now the wheat is worth 1,200, they'll give me cash 1,200. That's a machlokes. Got the picture? I came with money in order to buy wheat. 2 months later, I came and the wheat's supposed to be 1,200 now, more expensive. It doesn't have the wheat. So I say, okay, so just give me the cash. It gives me 1,200. Machlokes, whether that's kosher or treif to do that. Says the Gemara, the Itmar, and now we're going to support only. Thank you for being very patient, by the way. The Itmar, Rav Omar, Rav says, Oisin amono bepeiros, the en oisin amono bedomim. Short and sweet. Says Rav like this. I agree with everything you said till now. But lemaisa, amono, what's amono? That I trust you kind of relationship. I'm giving cash now and getting nothing, maybe a voucher, but not really getting the real deal, the real wheat, right? And I trust you to give me the wheat for the same old price 2 months later. Although it will be worth 1,200, you'll still give me the same 100 kilos you owe me, right? That's okay as long as it's payros. In other words, if I pay for wheat and I get wheat, matoivu manoim. Why? The wheat itself is what I bought. The onlooker doesn't think it's ribbis. Not everybody knows how much it's worth. I asked for 100 kilos of wheat. I got 100 kilos of wheat. The fact that really the label says 1,200, lo mishaneh, and that's what we all believe in that. The en oisin amona bedomim. Domi means if I gave 1,000 shekels for that 100 kilos of wheat, yeah, and after two months later I came and he didn't have wheat, he had cash to give me, and I got cash 1,200. Says Rav, that ain't smell nice. Schmecks of ribbis. You came with cash of 1,000, and you left the store 2 months later with a cash of 1,200. The detector is going to start beeping in Rav's eyes, which makes sense. I'm not going to give us comment to Rav. Yeah, Rav says because that looks more like ribbis, and the same thing would be for wine. If I came for wheat and I come with more expensive wine, that's also, if we are hooked on the same product, it's okay. We're hooked on the same product. It's worth more. It's worth less. Let's glitch it over. But if I came for a wheat of 1,000 and 2 months later come this fancy wine 1,200 worth, that looks more like ribbis, and Rav says that would be osir, and that is not what the Brisa said. The Brisa said we can climb up and up from cheap wheat to expensive wine to more expensive oil. So who is supported here? Rabbi Yanai. Rabbi Yanai says, Omar, mali hen umali dmehen. Rabbi Yanai says, no, the actual product or the worth of the product, by the way, dmeim, I just learned yesterday, is not only money, dmei means worth, value. Either you get the original product or you get instead of it more cash or or a more expensive product. If it's still part of the original agreement, which was kosher, because he had wheat in his store, then it's okay according to Rav Yanai, and the Brisa supports Rav Yanai and does not support Rav. Yes, question time for you. Okay. So now this is very nice that the Brisa supported Rav Dimi, but what about Rav? Meisivi, fragt the Gemara, this is now in a tekunu on Rav. Kulam, im yesh lo mutar. What's kulam? All the products, whether wheat turned into wine, wine turned into oil, oil turned into computer, it's always okay as long as originally you had it in stock because it's like a done deal. Well, that's not Rav, because Rav said no. Rav has an additional condition that the original product has to be provided. And then the fact it's more expensive, yalla, glitch it over. But if it's a whole new product, it's like money. It's like he gave 1,000 shekels money and came out of 1,200 shekels. Who doesn't want to do that at the ATM, But that's ribbis, yeah? Omar Ravuna. Ravuna is trying to answer Rav that it should fit into the Brisa. Omar Rav himself is really, Ravuna is quoting Rav's own words. B'shemashach. Rav makes an interesting ukimta. You tell me what's wrong with this ukimta. Rav says in the ukimta, he says as follows, listen, you know what the story was? Originally, thank you for reminding us, originally it was a loan, and it wasn't just verbal. Our story, the way we described it, there's Reuven standing by the granary, Shimon owes him money, and they only talk, right? He never took the chitin. You owe me chitin, then he comes back and you owe me shemen, you owe me zais, you owe me this. Lamaisa, nothing was given to the malve. Says Rav, no, really, the story is b'shemoshach. What does it mean b'shemoshach? Really, the malve pulled the wheat to his domain. He did meshicha and he completely bought it. No, there's truth. He's owed it. You owe me $100. Instead of dollars, you want wheat. He took the wheat to Mamish's domain, was Mamish coined the wheat, and now he says, you know what? Actually, let's change our minds. Instead of wheat, let's Mamish physically swap it, and that's why it's okay and it's kosher. According to Rav, yeah, there was always physical swapping. I was fully paid, done deal, everything completely over. I'm owed $100. I get them by the shape of wheat to my house, b'shemoshach, or not to my house, to my thing. And then what? Then I said, you know what? Actually, I want wine. Actually, I want. Well, frag the Gemara. What's the chiddush? Of course, that's like the yogurt in my kitchen. Obviously, if it's a really, really, really done deal is over. He bought the wheat. It's his wheat worth exactly the same as before. Now switching, that's not a chiddush at all. Exactly. Thank you. You're saying it better than me. There was end of a transaction, done deal, finished. Now it's a whole new transaction completely. Of course, each one is completely kosher. The whole board is how one transaction can turn into another. That's not a chiddush at all. That's not a chiddush to say the Moshach. Moshach means finished. Debt paid, shtar torn, gamarnu. Now we're starting a new deal. Of course we can do that. And says the Gemara, Ela kigon shichid lo keren zovis. Oh, it was not a completely done deal, but it's also working well with Rav, which means the story was as follows. He designated for him, the loive, for the malve, a specific place, corner in his house, in his granary, and he knows the chitim right over there next to the blue door in the picture belong to who? To the malve. Oh, says Rav like this. Let's summarize. Says Rav, this whole business of freeze framing in time, knowing it'll be more expensive later and still staying with the old price is okay. What did Rav say? Only if it's the same product. I want wheat, I'll get wheat, even though it's more expensive. Yalla, that's okay. That's Rav. Here we see not like that. We see that the wheat can turn into oil, and that Rav doesn't like that. That's all new payment because it's a whole new thing. Says Rav, very, very nice. Says Rav, no. Says Rav, if he designated for him one specific corner with that 1 ton of wheat over there, and that stayed through the 2 months, that connects from the first time to the second time, from the time of 1,000 till the time of 1,200. And even though, and that's considered as if it's a done deal, meaning it's not really a done deal. It's in the Karen's obvious. It didn't do Mashiach. But because it's very, very specific, and we know this very wheat really is designated for Mr. Pachachovsky, the buyer / Malve, because of that, we say that anchors the whole story, and it takes us from the 1,000 of wheat to 1,200 of wine, and that's still okay, because it's the same wheat all along. Says Rav, therefore, that's what I told you in Akdama, it's less of alva, more of a mecher. What's alva? I throw something into thin air, I throw something money for wheat, and then I got wine. I'm supposed to get wheat which wasn't in the store, or maybe it was in the store, but not specific in a specific corner. Rav says that's too nebulous, it's too vague. And then you're getting wine, that's like alva. I threw 1,000 into wheat, and then boom, I got 1,200, a new product. That's Mexican ribbis, says Rav. But if the wheat was specifically located over there, that's not throwing into the black hole and receiving back, boom. No, I set my money on very, very, very specific wheat. Yes, this very wheat with a green bag under the picture of whoever over there, that wheat is what I know I'm old all the time. And that connects me to that all the time. And when I come 2 months later, that wheat is still there. And yet I say, I don't want wheat now, I want oil. That's okay. Because that's considered as if the wheat Ki'ilu grew in his own house. Ki'ilu not grew. Ki'ilu, the wheat got more expensive in his own fridge, and that's okay. It's not in his own fridge, but it's in a corner hamiyuched sloy in the house of the seller. Okay. Yeah, weiter. Yes, a question. To answer Baruch's question, I want to summarize and then we'll answer a question. There are 3 levels. If I come to the store and I want wheat for a certain amount, certain money, certain whatever, certain value, and the person does not have the wheat at all, doesn't have the wheat, and all I have is credit, and he doesn't have the wheat anywhere to be seen, treif. You can't do that deal of let's close now and get more later. It's like alvo. I threw 1,000, I'll get a new 1,200 later. Treif, also we cannot do that with Rabbanon. Middle case, he has wheat somewhere. The same guy, not somewhere but the neighbor, not Yotza Shar. Mr. Seller / Love, he has what? He has the wheat, not in his machsan in Bet Shemesh, his machsan in Be'er Sheva, in Beit Shan, somewhere else. Says Rabbi Yana, that's still okay. Yeah, Rabbi Yana says it's okay. Lamaisa has a product. I see that as connecting enough as not disconnecting of giving boom and getting boom. It's still connected. Says Rav, no, that's not good enough. The third case, even Rav agrees, if it's a Karen Zovis, if we know that this very chita is designated to who? Designated to the konet, this one over there by the corner, by the green and blue door, then we know, even according to Rav, even though he'll get new product later, wine, whatever, or even money, that's okay. Because Lamaisa was his all the time. And the increase happened in his domain, even though it's in the seller's domain, but it's designated for the buyer. And by the way, they all agree, though, Rav and Rabbi Yanai, that if you're getting wheat back, that's for sure okay. If you wanted wheat and you're getting wheat, then Rav says it's okay, even if the wheat is not in a specific place. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Shmuel Omar. We're going to learn now a new term. Shmuel Omar says Shmuel another answer. Shmuel is defending his friend Rav. Homani, Shmuel says like this. I could support Rav. What does Rav say? if you ask for wheat and even it gets more expensive, you stay with the old price. Good. But then, opa, out of the tunnel came out 2 months later wine or even worse money. That's not kosher. The Brisa said not like that. I have an answer for the Brisa. The Brisa follows the specific Tana, which is called Homani. You know who's the author of the Brisa? Rabbi Yehuda. It's Rabbi Yehuda. What did Rabbi Yehuda say? Mazel tov. We're about to learn a new term in ribbis. The Omar tzad echad beribis mutar. One-sided ribbis is okay. We all know that means tzad echad beribis mutar. Let's go. I'm joking. Tzad echad beribis means as follows. Tzad echad beribis means I make an agreement, which is a sale, and the ribbis may or may not happen. If I know for sure there will be something that will be more expensive and it will end up by ribbis, then even Rabbi Yehuda says it's not allowed. But if it's a tzad echad beribis, which means if there's only one option of this becoming more expensive, the other option is not, and I can also choose whether I will take the chitim or I will take the other product, then it's allowed. Which means, in other words, if I buy chitim, says Rabbi Yehuda, and what? The chitim will be maybe in 2 months' time, what will take from you? Hopefully chitim, right? Then it's not ribbis. We agreed the same chita, even more expensive, is not a problem. What happens if instead of chita I'll get money, refund, or wine, or oil? Then what? I agree with Rav that would be ribbis. However, it's only one option. It's only one alternative out of the two in the flow chart, right? If chitim for chitim is okay, wine for chitim is not okay. Well, nobody's a prophet. Nobody knows what's going to happen in 2 months' time, right? And therefore, that's called sad echad beribis, and that's why it's allowed, according to Rabbi Yehuda. But Rav, I go with what I believe is the mainstream. Mainstream opinion believe no, that sad echad beribis is usher, and therefore I am right that this should not be really done. No, you cannot actually throw your money on chitim and then poof, 2 months later decide it's wine. That is treif. Who believes it's okay? That's Rabbi Yehuda. I don't follow Rabbi Yehuda. I follow the other Tanoim. Let's see an example. Let's just get into it. The Tanya says in the Brisa a different story, a different case of what? Of tzad echad beribis. The person charges, the person is owed 100 by his friend. Oh, remember the story? We had it by the Goyim before, now we have it by Yidden. He decided like this. Look, I have a field, and that field I'm now selling you, says the loive to the malve, but it's a suffix sale or suffix a collateral, which hopefully will be given back to me. Meaning, I owe you money. Here's my field. Go sit in my field. Go and get my field now. It's like a semi-mechira. There are two maslulim starting. Either the mechira is, it's yours, and in case I will not come with the money, let's say in a year's time, when it's payday, you'll stay with the field for life, right? In case I do come back with the money and give you back the loan, return the loan in a year, then what? Then the field was just a collateral by you and was never really owned by you. That's the agreement, and so far so good. Now let me ask you a question. Please don't cheat and don't look now. Can the malve, potential malve buyer, can now eat all the grapes of a snapshot and still get all the money back next year? No, of course not. Everybody tell me the chachomim. Says the Brisa weiter, bisman moicher oichel peiros mutar. If the seller / lover is the one who eats all the fruit, then it's okay. It's partially, potentially owned by the malve. Let's see how things develop. But as long as the fruits are eaten by the loive, then it's okay. No ribbis. The loive moicher is eating them, of course. Yeah, obviously, yeah. Also, if the buyer / malve is the one eating them, it's usher. Why? We assume he's going to charge all the money next year, all the million shekel, right? Plus he ate all the fruit. That's called, I think in English, ribbis, right? So of course that should be usher, and that's what Tanakama believes. Surprise, surprise. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, look at Rabbi Yehuda. Says Rabbi Yehuda Omer, af bizman shelokech ochel peros mutar. Says Rabbi Yehuda, it's okay. The lokech may eat the fruit and all is well. Why? Because it's a tzad echad beribis. Because if really the guy will not come up with the money, then retrospectively, he was the owner all along. So even though really let's say there could be a different matzav of what? Of him not paying. and therefore, excuse me, of him, yes, paying. There's a matzav of the loiva paying the entire million, and then retroactively all those grapes he ate were ribbis. That's okay, it's allowed. Why? Because it didn't start as a halva. Although there was halva before, but the way they phrased it was, I'm selling you misofik. Because it started as a suffix, sale with suffix, maybe it will morph into ribbis, maybe not, says Rabbi, it's allowed. That's a Chiddush Rabbi, tzad echad b'ribbis mutar. Of course, everyone's going to ask me now, excuse me, and I'm going to continue soon, why there's a very easy solution. Why can't you deduct? Right? In other words, let's say you ate 200,000 shekels worth of anovim. Next year, when it comes with a million, give a million minus 200,000. Yeah, that could be a solution. Let's leave that for the side. The assumption is he'll get like a, I don't want to say like a chazer, he'll get everything plus get all the fruit. Chachamim say that's ribbis, but it says no, it's sad echad ribbis, right? Because if he doesn't pay, then really ribbis never happened. It's just his field right from the start. In case the guy doesn't pay in a year, retroactively the field belongs to the malvir. Have that in mind. That's like 50%. Therefore, says Rabbi Yehuda, it's not ribbis, and even if it will be ribbis at the end, it's okay to take it. Wow, because it didn't start as ribbis; it started as a maybe ribbis. So even though it will end up with ribbis, it will be okay according to Rabbi Yehuda. Of course, in the Rabbanon, only in Mecher, not in the Oraisa. Let's continue a little bit, get into the groove. Omar le Rabbi Yehuda, Omar lehem Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is not trying to prove his point, showing that he's right to Chachomim. Maise Baitus ben Zoinin. Baitus ben Zoinin was a yeshiva shebalabos. Baitus ben Zoinin, many times we see he listened to Chachomim. He was like a good businessman, I think. The way I see many times we've seen the Gemara, he was a person who had businesses and things, and he always listened to Chachomim. They sat in his house in Lod, in Aliyah, made the Suda. He was a guy who listened to Chachomim. Maase Baitus ben Zoinin, she'oso sadehu mecher, okay, al pi Rab Elazar ben Azariah. He created mecher in his field. He sold his field that way, following the rabbinical advice of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. The lokeach oichel peres hoya, and what the buyer is the one who ate all the fruit. The buyer was not an innocent buyer. Who was a buyer who may, yes, get his money back in a year, and maybe all the fruit he's eating will be extra superfluous above the minimum, above the value. I think that's called ribbis, and yet he was fine. So you see, says Rabbi Yehuda, you see that I'm right. Why? Because if something starts with a maybe yes, maybe no, then even if it morphs into a yes ribbis, it's okay, providing it's the Rabbanon. Providing it's the Rabbanon, it started with Mecher, not with Olva. So you see, I'm right. Here's the Meiser Rav, Meiser Chachamim, Baitus ben Zoinin, didn't follow his own financial advisor. He followed Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. You see, I'm right. Omer Uloi, Misham Raya. Chachamim responded, they retorted. Is that a proof from over there? You just got the story wrong. No, it wasn't the right story. No. He was the seller who ate the fruit and not the buyer. The seller eating the fruit is okay. The seller is the loiva. Of course, if the loiva eats, it's okay. Loiva can do whatever he wants, right? Yeah. And now, Zog the Gemara, my benayu. What's the difference really between Rabbi Yehuda and Chachamim? Amar Abaye, as we said all along, sad echad beribis ika benayu. That's a machlok. Sad echad beribis ika benayu. Of course, you're going to ask me a question now, but it's going to be deducted, right? It's going to be deducted. What's the whole halabaloo? Yeah, right? He borrowed $1 million, sold him his field of what? Of $1 million, right? Okay. And said, listen, if I never come, I run away with the money, you have the field of $1 million. That's beautiful security, right? And if not, then I'll get my field back. If I give you the $1 million and get my field back, the Vaila, Mr. Buyer / lender, ate 200,000 worth of grapes. Good luck to him. 200,000. I hope he sold them too. Now we say, oh, ribbis. Why? What before Rabbi Yehuda and Chachamim? Why can't you say instead of next year getting $1 million, get $1 million minus 200,000? Says Tosfos Senachinami, that could be a solution. It's not always the case. In other words, if he's going to get the $1 million and then deduct the 200,000, that's already treif because he got ribbis with Chachamim and then he deducted, but there was a ma'aser ribbis. Yeah. In other words, if he's going to get the $1 million back and only then return the 200, then it's a problem. But enachinami, if before he returns the $1 million, he calls him and he says, don't give him $1 million, give me 800,000, then it's okay. Enachinami. But that's not the case. Rashi says no. Rashi says if now you're eating ribbis, according to Chachamim, that Sofik ribbis is a problem, yeah? If now you're eating ribbis, knowing that potential will give you the $1 million, if later you will deduct it, it's too late. Because ribbis, my friends, is like ben odom la makoim. The actual act of ribbis is treif, even if later you'll return it. Although that's the next Indian, that's Rove. But even in Abai can already say it. It's like the Ritva says, you ate chazer, maybe it was delicious, I don't know, never tried, and Bezin come to lash you and you got to throw and everything, you're going to throw it up. Throwing off the chazer doesn't really do anything, yeah? Nice and symbolic, and we believe you regret it, but it doesn't really reverse things, and you still get punished. So just to eat fruit of ribbis is treif. I later return it, later shmeter, and must speak in the other lasses teshuva. That's a buy. Rove Omar, Rove wants to say that that itself is a machloikus. Rove, what we said is a side thing, according to Rove, is the main thing. Argues on the buy, and he says, Ribis al manas lehachzir ikabeinayu. Ribis al manas lehachzir. It's not because of tzad echad beribis. Could be tzad echad beribis, everyone says is not good. But this lechatchila, there is no ribis to begin with. Why? Because they all know all along that he will return. He will deduct it. And Rava says, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that's okay. In other words, if I eat the ribis now and I'll return it later, it's not like eating chazer and throwing off. No, it's like not even like stealing. Stealing and giving back is also not good. I don't have an example. It's like whatever. It's like, I don't know, going into a trade for place and coming out. You know, you didn't really do anything. According to Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rava, you're eating ribis, not because it's only potential. Even if we know that he will give you back the money, eating ribbis now, and you know that when he'll give you back the loan, you'll deduct it right away. That's okay. That's okay, says Rabbi Yehuda. And Chachamim say no. Chachamim say no ribbis al manas lachzir. Eating ribbis now in order to deduct later the 200 you ate now from the million, that's treif. Like we said before, eating ribbis is a treif as of itself, regardless to what's going to happen later. Okay? But the Maisa, this is how Abaye would answer Rav Yehuda. This is how Rav would answer our Brisa to say that it's our Brisa is okay because our Brisa follows Rav Yehuda, which according to Abaye says Sadechad Ribis Mutter. Therefore, let's just go back to our case before we continue with questions. Our case is again, what's our case? I'm buying chitim in order to hopefully get chitim. He's not playing games, actually. I came to the chitim store, wheatforyou.com. I go and what do I want to buy? Chitim. With that agreement of I'm giving you cash now or credit now, and you have the chitim, okay, leave it for me for 2 months' time, more expensive, that's kosher. Maybe it's treif, because maybe in 2 months' time he will not have chitim and you'll change your mind into wine. Says Rabbi Yehuda, maybe a ribbis that begins with a maybe is not a ribbis. That's it. That's why, even though according to Rab, that of itself would be a problem to get wine, so what? It's only 50% of the story, or even less than 50%. That's why it's okay. That's only according to Rab, we have to say that. According to Rabbi Anna and everybody else, we don't even have to say that. They say no problem. The fact the product changed doesn't make a difference. Since the Kinyan was kosher, yeah, Mimela, as we said many times before, that's kosher. Questions? I think you were first. Yeah. Okay. Have a good day. And thank you to all our YouTube and Torah Anytime viewers. Thank you. Bye-bye.